welcome back to another episode of The Sam Show here on Auntie Tay's YouTube channel. Today's project, we are going to be making a stencil bookmark for our bujos, planners, whatever, and it's just gonna help make planning a little bit more fun. So let's get going. Hey everyone, it's Sam from the Auntie Tay team, and you're watching The Sam Show. Let's go make some fun things. On the Auntie Tay membership website, I am going to go to Styles, and from Styles, I'm going to go to Design Elements to look for different elements that I want to use on my stencil. So what you're going to want to look for are things that would make a good stencil. You don't want to have a lot of pieces. You're only going to cut out the outside edge. So if there's something that loops around, you have to think about how they're not going to have that centerpiece. The centerpiece is going to get cut out. So I'm just going through and clicking on the design I want, and they will download to my computer, which then I can upload to Cricut Design Space, and on there I select the ones I want to use, upload them, and I'm going to show you guys like the process that I go behind designing my stencil. So what I'm doing is I'm just picking a square from Cricut Design Space and I'm resizing it. I will later go back and switch the size. I want it to be no bigger than 8 inches because I don't want it to be longer than my bujo. So I actually made it 7 inches so that it was a little bit easier. And I picked one of these borders, and when I contoured it, I filled in all of the spots, and then I'm lining it up because I just wanted to have a scalloped edge so that I can use that scalloped edge to make some fun embellishments. And so all I'm doing is welding and trimming all the things, and then I'm going through the other designs and fitting them along this stencil. And it's kind of like a bookmark stencil. That's what I've been calling it. So I took these cute little flag banners because I know I'll use this all the time for headers and to-do lists. I just think it's so cute. And some of these I had to slice the shape out of, so it took a little bit longer, but not impossible. I also love these ribbon banners to use for lists, and I'm just going through and picking things that I think I would use in my bujo that I know I'm not great at drawing, because that's what it's going to help you do, is draw the things you're not the best at, or you want them all to be identical. And I am just changing the color of them and putting them on my quote-unquote bookmark stencil so that I can get an idea of what I can fit on there. You don't want to overdo it. Your bookmark stencil will get a little flimsy if you do too many things. And I'm really conscientious about the sizing. And actually, the one tip I will give is if you measure the spots in your bujo, like I did 1/4 of an inch for the bullet points, I would actually do it a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch, because when you're doing a stencil, you're getting the inside of it, so it's always a little bit smaller. And then I just went through and sliced everything. I am cutting clear acetate for my stencil, and I'm doing 3 copies of it. Now, I just use the regular acetate setting and cut it with my fine point blade, and it cut beautifully. And I did 3 layers just because I wanted it to be a thicker stencil. You might be able to get away with just 1 layer of acetate, especially if you can find a thicker one. I just use the Recollections brand from Michaels, but maybe you can find one that's a little bit thicker so you only have to do 1. I did 3, and I think I could have gotten away with just doing 2 layers. And this is where it gets a little finicky with 3 layers. So I'm using Fusion Tack adhesive. You can get this at shopauntietay.com. It's an awesome, awesome super glue. And I put it in this precision tip because it's just a lot easier to use. And then you're going to want to try to get around every little spot and every little crevice and glue it. And it's a little time consuming. And then you're going to let it sit for a minute or two. Don't let it get clear. You still want it to be white when you sandwich it together. And then you're going to take your second piece of acetate and smush it together. Now, it's a little tricky to line up. It takes a little bit of tweaking, especially when you do a 3rd layer. That's why I kind of recommend just doing 2. However, it's not the prettiest because the glue takes about 24 hours to fully dry and it doesn't look the prettiest. I think it would be really cute if you did some cute pattern paper and put that in between the 2 pieces of acetate. But then you can't see what you're doing behind it, and I wanted it to stay clear. So that's what I did. So I'm using the Auntie partner Marvy's Le Pens. I absolutely adore these pens for bujoing, and I'm going to show you a different couple ways I used my stencil for different layouts. I use the little banner up top to make a little to do now list, and then I'm going to take the stencil and use the triangle cutout and just do a bunch of triangle little bullet points so I can list what I need to do now. I'm using the ribbon one to make a little header for my monthly spread, and I'm just doing March, and I think it looks really cute. It looks so much nicer. I cannot draw ribbon doodles at all, and this turned out perfect, so I will continue to use my stencil. Then I'm using the little banner again. I'm gonna put B-Day on there because it's my husband's birthday that day. And I just did it across, and it wasn't thick enough that I could draw on the stencil through that little line, but it's easy enough to connect the dots. Now I'm using the little scalloped edge to differentiate the monthly spread from my notes, and I'm using a Le Pen again in a light color because I like my important things to be in black and then my fun little doodles to be colored. So that's why I'm using green, because it's March. And I did a little diamond on the 17th because that's a holiday. And I mean, that's the project, guys. I want to see what you guys come up with. There are so many Auntie Tay files that you can use to make your own custom stencil. So I want to know what files you picked and how you're using them in your bujo. Thanks for joining.